our nonprofit partners that we work with, our clients, we call them the world's best problem solvers because they are tackling the biggest social problems on earth head on, and we want to support them by helping them do the most good, and not just some good or some nice things, but really activities, programs, services, and solutions that see results and transform communities. So my name's Alan Maxey. I'm the founder and CEO of a nonprofit consulting agency called Good Work. And at Good Work, our mission is to help nonprofits do the most good, which means that we support nonprofits with collecting data to tell their story of impact. We've seen that over 50% of nonprofits have identified financial instability as their number one stressor. So we want to support nonprofits in overcoming that challenge. And the ways that we do that is through strategic consulting, professional development and training, and grant writing and impact management. There are some foundational beliefs that I have that you see show up in the brand and in the business. So the first is that I believe that the world was created with perfect flourishing in mind, and unfortunately that's not the reality that we live in today. We think that good work is any kind of work that is working or pursuing the restoration of that original vision for flourishing. So the cool thing about what I get to do is I collaborate with and partner with organizations that are doing that good work. So we do good work really through our clients. The second part that is foundational to who we are is that we believe that every human being has intrinsic value. And that shows up in our work because we are partnering with organizations that are dismantling systems that put people at a disadvantage the day that they were born. And that's not okay. And we want to make sure that we are participating in the restoration of that vision for human flourishing. Let's see, the biggest challenge that nonprofits face that I'm helping them work through is definitely that financial piece. You know, every nonprofit is on that hamster wheel of funding, trying to find the next paycheck, the next grant, and it can be exhausting. And that's why we wanted to come in and support nonprofits at a fractional rate so that we're not a huge burden financially for them, but we can add significant value to their team. So, you know, every nonprofit's felt need is going to be that revenue, right? They're always going to be thinking about how we're going to pay the bills. And our theory of change around that is focusing on quality. Because if you have a high quality program, you're going to change people's lives. And if you change people's lives and you're doing the right data collection to show that you are creating outcomes in your community, then you can build what we call an irresistible case for support. And then your fundraising team can go out there and be really effective at raising money with that irresistible case for support. So I know that it's tempting to try to solve the fundraising revenue problem with development staff or grant writers, which we do offer grant writing, but that's not where I would start. You know, I would start with increasing program quality in your services or your solutions that you're offering to your community so that you can make genuine impact and then tell that story, because that story will get funded. One of my first jobs where I realized that I enjoyed creating structure out of chaos was for a nonprofit in Montgomery, Alabama that had a housing ministry and a mentoring program for people, but they didn't have a lot of structure or direction for how they wanted to help people in that mentoring program. So we helped design curriculum for them and create some goals and outcomes for how they wanted to help and support people. So that was sort of the origin for me in realizing that this was something that I was good at, something that I wanted to do, and how I wanted to help nonprofits. And after that, I continued working with young people in youth development programs. I worked at the YWCO in Athens in an after-school program, and then when I moved to Atlanta, my first job was at the YMCA in an after-school program, an enrichment program. And I then got a job at an organization called Agape Youth and Family Center, and I was there for 10 years. I kind of climbed the ladder, so to speak, and started as a part-time staff, and then a program coordinator, then a program manager, then a program director. And I ended up in a role called Director of Impact and Program Quality. In that role, I was helping report back to some funders and some grants, but I was also using that data that we were collecting for compliance and meeting funder requirements to improve the quality of the programs and to tell our story. And it was in that role and that experience as a Director of Impact that I realized that nonprofits could really use a role like this, but it's hard to afford a full-time senior leadership staff position like that. So that's where the idea of Good Work was founded, to create a fractional position to help nonprofits collect data, to tell their story, to meet funder requirements, but also to make their programs better and to tell their story. So one of the frameworks that we use for program performance management is actually called results-based accountability. So we want to make sure that we aren't reporting, like if you're a client of ours and we're working with you for impact management, so we're collecting data to report back to funders to show that you're making a difference. And what a lot of nonprofits do, if you look at an annual report or an impact report, or you go to a nonprofit's website, you're going to see what they call is the by the numbers page, or at a glance numbers, or something like that. Every nonprofit, or most businesses do it actually. And a lot of these numbers are going to be big, impressive output numbers. So we serve this many youth, we serve this many families, we serve this many meals, we have this many hours of volunteers. But when you think about those big sort of impressive numbers, they don't tell a story of impact necessarily. They really communicate that we tried hard, that we did a lot of stuff, and when you take that data and you present it to a potential funder, it's essentially like saying, we did a lot of stuff, keep giving us money so that we can keep doing more stuff. But in today's day and age, modern funders want to know that what you're doing is making a difference, that it's having real results. And results-based accountability talks about it this way. So there's 3 performance metrics: how much did you do, how well did you do it, and what difference did it make? Nonprofits are generally good at communicating how much they did, right? That by the numbers page. But we put the data collection processes, whether it's a pre and post assessment or satisfaction surveys to your participants, we put the necessary data collection processes in place so that we can tell a story of quality and effect of service, which is that how well did you do and what difference did it make metrics. At the end of the day, a modern donor wants to know 2 things. They want to know, do you solve a problem that I care about, and are you good at solving that problem? And if you can't effectively communicate that to a potential funder, then there's a good chance they're not going to support your organization. One thing that I love about this business is that I get the opportunity to work with other consultants. So I started Good Work. I had been consulting for almost 4 years as a freelance consultant, and I wanted to do really more good personally with my brand and my business, and I knew that I needed some contractors and a team to do things that I'm not necessarily good at, right? So I get the opportunity to work with super talented and gifted contractors really all over the country so that we can provide a better service and more solutions to our clients. And that's exciting for me because I get to pour into this group of consultants. We have a professional learning community where we are helping consultants navigate what it looks like to be a freelance contractor, and help them tell their story and help them build a brand and be successful in this space. The thing about working with consultants and nonprofits is that the burnout rate for both of those different industries is so high. So we're working with a group of people that are burned out, they're anxious, they're stressed about how they're going to pay the bills and all of those different things. So one of our values as an organization is called Start with Grace. The reason why we start with grace is we understand that we are humans, that we have limitations. We can't do everything. We can't be everywhere. So we need to have grace for ourselves, but we also have to have grace for others. And that shows up in our work because we ask for what we need as a group of consultants. We make sure that we are taking care of one another, and we don't glorify or prioritize self-dependence. It's okay that you need one another and that you need to ask for help. So yeah, if I had to give any advice to anyone that is in a high-stress job and is trying to do good work, have grace for yourself, and especially have grace in the places where you have limitations, and identify those things, name those things, and ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. Another one of our values we call excellence with integrity. So, we are all about quality and doing good work. So excellence is a value of ours. It's important to us. But the integrity piece comes in because we're not going to kill ourselves to do good work. We're not going to do excellence at the expense of people, right? So the integrity is important for us, and an important nuance or caveat to the good work that we want to do. The other part of that nuance is that we want to do good work because it's important to us. We want to do excellent work because we want to be proud to put our name on it, not because it's a high performance, stressful work environment, right? We're not performing for a boss because all of our consultants are contractors. They're small business owners themselves. So it's really their name on the line. They're putting their name on a product and they want to do a good job. So there's a component of integrity in doing that good work and performing with excellence that has nothing to do with a high stress, performative work environment.